What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about how you can spot fake offers on this episode of our First Down Training show. We're going to talk about the two types of fake offers, how athletes will literally pay for offers, and how coaches give verbal offers to athletes who are in like 7th, 8th grade. You see all those videos on social media like, oh, this 7th grader, this 8th grader. So we're going to talk about why that's all BS, and then we're going to get into some current events. We're going to talk about how CeeDee Lamb's receiver trainer was sentenced to 25 years in prison, and then we're going to get into some other details from this week in the NFL and college football. So I hope this video is able to give you some value. Let's get started. So guys, there are two types of fake offers that we're going to be going over today. So fake offer number one is going to be the verbal offer, and then we're going to be talking about how parents and athletes will literally pay for offers to make themselves look good on social media. It's total crap. You guys need to be aware of this stuff because, like, I'm not saying this to discourage the athletes that have these type of like offers, if you will. I'm saying this to like make sure that you guys don't compare yourself to these type of athletes. I think it's ridiculous. I think so many athletes see this stuff on social media, they get discouraged, they feel like they're not doing enough, they feel like they're not working hard. But guys, it's really not, they're fake. They're fake offers. So let's talk about why they're fake. So number one, with the verbal offers. I mean, every single athlete from the time, every single athlete that's ever received a scholarship offer, at first it was a verbal offer. So verbal offers are extremely common. Anytime that you see a freshman, sophomore, or even a junior sometimes get an offer, it's a verbal offer, which means that it's not like necessarily like binding. Either party is not like, I guess you could say, like bound to that offer. At least the school is not bound to that offer because it's verbal. It's like if I walked up to a house and said, hey, I want to buy your house for $1 million, and then they like called me the next day and be like, well, you said you wanted to buy it, like, so like you got to buy it now. It's like, no, I didn't. I was just talking. Like I didn't mean it. I backed out later. You know, like because it's verbal. It's not in a contract, right? It's not an official offer, aka it's not a committable offer. It's something called a non-committable offer. So like athletes, like coaches will give this to athletes if they are really good and they're younger. So like let's say you're a freshman or a sophomore, right, in high school. You have varsity film. Generally like, okay, like he's pretty good, like we're gonna give him an offer. Schools will do that because they want to be first, right? It's like betting on a stock but not losing any money. So let's say, for example, like Apple. Let's talk about like Apple computer, Apple. Everybody knows Apple because everybody's got an iPhone. Let's say when Apple first came out, you could buy their stock for like $10. And let's say you bought, 100,000 shares of Apple stock. And the stock tanked. It went down to zero. Apple went out of business. But you didn't lose any money. But let's say you put 100,000 shares and you bought 100,000 shares of Apple stock and it exploded up to $200 a share. And you made a ton of money. And then you could take the money out. But there was no risk. That's essentially what they're doing with athletes, right? I don't know if you guys understand the stock market, but that's essentially what they're doing with these verbal offers. They have an athlete who might be really good, but he might not be because he's only a freshman or he's only a sophomore. He's got a long ways to go. So we're gonna give him a verbal offer just in case he ends up being really good. So we could be like, hey, remember, we were the first ones to offer you, like, you should commit to our school. So they have the advantage on other places, on other schools that they're competing with, because recruiting is insanely competitive. So that's why they do it. That's why the coaches will do it. That's why the schools will do it, because they want to get in early on a kid, because early recruiting is a real thing. But here's the thing, you guys, nothing is official until you sign on that dotted line, and you cannot commit to a school. You cannot get a committable scholarship offer until the summer before your junior year. Okay, so like you're a sophomore, like in like July, August, like yeah, you can get an offer, right? You get an official offer, if you will. But if you're a freshman, sophomore before that, like, guys, it's not real. 7th, 8th grader, not real. It's complete BS. Now, why do they do it to the younger kids? Why do you see these 6th graders, 7th graders, 8th graders getting these offers? It's all about hype. I'm just gonna be totally real with you. None of it's real. It's generally like, I saw this thing on Netflix the other day talking about like kidfluencers, and they were talking about like the ugly world of it. I wish they would come out with something like that for these like football kidfluencers, where it's like, you got these, I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to bring any attention to it, but like, these people who are like 5th, 6th grade claiming they got all these offers and they're really just doing it for clout and just for fame and just for views. Like, it's so dumb. Like, it's so dumb to me because it's the parents. The kids aren't doing that. It's the parents. And so chances are the parents know an assistant coach at a school and they're like, hey, could you give him like a verbal offer so we could post about it? And the guy's like, yeah, man, we'd love to offer you. And he's just doing a favor. And that's never going to get back to the head coach, the OC, and then they're going to post on social media, oh, such and such was just offered by Oregon, such and such was just offered by Texas, when really, Guys, it's crap. It's not real. Because they're in 7th, 8th grade, 5th and 6th grade. They're not even seniors in high school yet. They're not even close to college. What if they get hurt? What if they end up not being really good in college? No college coach would invest real scholarship money or real scholarship attention into a freaking 13-year-old or a 12-year-old. It's just not gonna happen. So please use your heads. Please think about it logically. A lot of times you see these posts on social media and everybody wants to react emotionally. Like, oh my God, he got an offer. Like, oh wow, like that's so cool. Like maybe my son can get an offer. Guys, think about it logically. How much is a scholarship offer? It's probably like, let's say the college is $50K a year. That's a $200,000 offer right there, essentially. And well, the scholarship's renewed every year. That's a different conversation. But it's a $200,000 offer. Do you really think they're going to give that to a sixth grader who's not even fully developed yet? No. It's just for hype. It's just for clicks. Please do not buy in. Please do not drink the Kool-Aid because it's BS. It's verbal. It's not real. Now, let's talk about the second type of a fake offer. Paid for offers. This is generally done by high school students' parents, who generally have money, to make their kid look a certain way to get attention and notoriety from other schools and recruiting websites and to just get them more like exposure, if you will. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Because at the end of the day, if you're not a good football player, just simply not a good football player. That's the great part about the sport that we play, is that you will always get exposed. Always. So if you're not that good, it will show. If you are that good, it will show. At the end of the day, you got to put the pads on, you got to line up next to a dude, and you got to execute. So you could do all the social media hype that you want. You could buy all the offers that you want, but at the end of the day, you still got to play. So this is the scam that goes on right here. Let's say I'm a wealthy parent. Say I have a son. He's 15 years old. He's a quarterback. I want him to play D1 ball. The kid wants to play D1 ball. There's two ways guys will go about it. Either parents are connected and they know somebody who knows somebody, and they will pay an assistant college coach cash under the table. Last time that I heard, this was a couple years ago, they were paying 2 G's for an offer. It could be 3 or 4 now. Who knows, with inflation or whatever the hell you want to call it. So they're paying $2,000 to a college coach. The college coach gives them a verbal offer. They post it on social media. And the hope is, now I'm going to attract all these other coaches that don't know what I just did. Here's where it gets stupid. These other coaches who don't know what you did watch your film and you're like, he's not really an Arizona State caliber player. And I say Arizona State because they were known to do this in the past. He's not really an Arizona State caliber player. He doesn't look like he could play at Oregon. Why'd they offer him? And then they're like, oh, it's fake. That's how it usually goes, you guys. And all those fake offer people, if you pay attention, because I pay attention, when it's time to sign, guess where they go? They walk on somewhere, they go to a JUCO, they end up not even playing anymore. That's the stuff that I see in Southern California, right? So, let's talk about this now. What they will do also is parents will end up getting linked up with some recruiting agent. These guys are the biggest scumbags in the industry, in my opinion. They'll get linked up with a recruiting agent. The recruiting agent, is a guy who knows a lot of college coaches, maybe. A lot of assistants, generally. And what will happen is that coach or that parent will pay this recruiting guy a fee, generally pretty high. That guy will give a cut to the college coaches for those college coaches to offer that kid. And then as a parent, you're like, oh, fantastic. Now he looks a certain way. Maybe the parent didn't even know that's what he was going to do going in. Maybe they genuinely thought that guy was going to help them get recruited. Now they think, oh my God, he's great. There's a dude down here in Southern California. Check out this scam. This is what really pissed me off. Because when you take advantage of parents and kids that do not know this information, that's where I get pissed, right? If you're completely transparent with your services and parents are dumb enough to sign up for this stuff, hey, fine by me, mazel tov, good for you. But if you're lying to people to take money from them, that's when I got a problem. So what this guy would do is he would say, hey, I'm going to charge you, I think it was anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 per offer. And so what the parents do is they're like, oh, well, we'll pay it for you, we'll see what he can do. He turns around, takes that money, takes half of it, gives it to an assistant. Hey, look, I got your son an offer. Then they're like, oh my God, we've only paid $5,000. That's saving us $200,000 on tuition. Let's do it again. Maybe he could get another offer, right? Maybe we'll do it 3 or 4 more times. It's a total scam. And then when it comes time to sign, Those coaches are nowhere to be found. It's a total ripoff. So be aware of that stuff, you guys. That's number one. Understand that not all these recruiting, let's just put it this way. In the world, not everybody's a good person, number one. In the recruiting world, probably 50% of them are not good people in my opinion. So just be aware of those situations. Logically think about the situation, and when you see these athletes who have these offers that don't make sense, and you're like, that guy's not even that good, know that there are ways to scam the game and make other people think that you're really good. It's all about validation. It's all about self-appearance. They want to look a certain way, and they want other people to see them a certain way. It's quite frankly, it's disgusting to me. That's just me. So be aware of that stuff. Do not get discouraged as an athlete, please, because the recruiting process is very different for a lot of people. And anybody who's like a legit prospect doesn't need to do all that stuff, doesn't sign up for those recruiting services. He lets his film and his game talk for him, and he gets recruited the right way. So hope is able to educate you on some of the things that are out there and what these like fake offers are, but please do not fall for these things. Now, fellas, we're going to get into some current events. We're going to talk about what I mentioned earlier with CeeDee Lamb's trainer, and then we're going to talk about some interesting news with Maxx Crosby. So we're going to get to that. But before we break that stuff down, fellas, if you are a football player and you need help gaining weight this offseason, check out that very first link in the description below where you can get our AG Labs Whey Protein Powder. This is a supplement company that I developed with my brother, and our goal is to make a line of supplements specifically for athletes. So we want to help them with weight gain, strength, and performance on the field. So this is our salted caramel frappuccino protein powder. We also have cookies and cream, which is my favorite one. We have chocolate peanut butter brownie. We have cinnamon snickerdoodle. We have great tasting protein, probably the best tasting protein that I've ever had. And we have a complete line of supplements to help athletes specifically. So guys, if you go to that very first link in the description below, use the promo code FIRST25, FIRST25 at checkout. You get 25% off your protein order or any supplement order. So again, guys, very first link in that description below. We'd love to get you on our protein and our other supplements. So now let's get into some current events, you guys. So current event number one, numero uno. CeeDee Lamb trainer Delphonte Diamond sentenced to 25 years in prison on alarming charge. So what was that alarming charge, if you guys haven't known? That guy's been around a long time on social media. He was around even before I got started on social media. The charge was, and he got sentenced to like 2 consecutive terms, like 25 years and then 20 years. It was aggravated sexual assault of a minor. So actually it was a child. That was the language that they used, so under the age of 14. Disgusting, like total scumbag, And then the other one was sexual assault of a minor under the age of 17. So it was 25 years, then 20 years. So that's 45 years. Like he's going to be in there probably till he's like 90, because I know the guy's a little bit older than I am. And what a scumbag. You harm a child like that, you should be put to death, in my opinion. That's just me. I think we're all old enough watching this to be able to handle those words. But you harm a child, there's a special place in hell for you. Like really, like seriously. And that's a serious problem in this country too, that there's that, you know, the media doesn't talk enough about it. The media doesn't talk enough about, you know, certain child trafficking things that they know about, but they don't put it on the news. You got Disney not wanting to fund certain movies that are trying to uncover this type of stuff. It's really a problem. And that's not what I'm here to talk to you about, you guys. But I would just say my piece of advice to you about this situation is, as parents, as athletes, you know, do some research into who maybe you're sending your kid to. I don't think it was, from what I've read, I don't think it was an athlete that he trained. I've heard that there are no incidents with athletes that he's worked with, but I know he's obviously worked with minors. But do some research into who you're working with, because, you know, that would be an awful situation where you send your kid to a trainer and that guy's got a history of something like this, and God forbid something happens to your kid. So make sure you do your research. I think that's something that not enough people do when they come to sending their kids to an athletic facility. I know in Southern California, where I live, there was a coach out here called, his name is Coach Frog, that's what they called him. His name was Chris Flores, and he got sentenced to a much lighter sentence than this, which is, tell you about our state. But anyways, he assaulted a child, and like I don't know if it was, I digress what I just said right there. It was allegedly assaulted a child and definitely was coercing a child. And he had a sports facility where athletes would go to him, and he was like kind of like trusted in the community. But back in the day, he used to coach at USC, and he actually got accused of raping somebody when he was at USC, and it was just kind of like hush hush. Nobody talked about it, nobody brought it up, nobody said anything, and he's working with all these minors. And it's like, whoa, 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 like maybe we should look into this, you know? And I'm not blaming the parents one bit, but you know, like you gotta have some, you know, you gotta do some research into that stuff before you send your kid to anything. That's my biggest piece of advice, because even in the football world, you got scumbags like Delphonte Diamond who do this type of stuff. And I've had one interaction with him. Biggest POS I've ever met in my entire life. Super arrogant, thought his you-know-what didn't stink. And it goes to show, you know, this guy's a scumbag, you know, and when you trust your gut on people and you kind of have an interaction with somebody and you're like, man, that guy's I hate that guy for whatever reason, maybe trust your gut, you know, because that guy is scum of the earth, and you harm a child, you special place in hell for you. But I wanted to talk about that just to inform you guys on, you know, like you never know where you're sending your kids to, and you never know, you always got to do your research. Always have to do your research on who you're working with. Now, next thing, and one thing I will add on that too as well, in the training space, it's not like you're an educator at a school where you have to get a background check. Any Joe Blow off the street can become a trainer, especially a sports-specific trainer. To be a personal trainer at a gym, you need to get some type of certification, but there's no background check. You're self-employed. Same thing when you're becoming like an actual football trainer. I was surprised how easy it was. I literally just purchased an insurance policy, and bam, I was covered. So you got to make sure you understand that like these guys don't have background checks. If they're not working at schools, they don't have a background check. So make sure you know who you are working with and do some research before you send your kid and let your kid be alone with an adult. So that's what I would say. I'm not telling you how to parent your kid, but I think that's good advice in this situation. Now, next current event, Eastern Michigan hires Maxx Crosby as assistant GM. Raiders star defensive end joins alma mater in groundbreaking move. I think that's pretty cool. I think in the days of NIL, I think that that's not surprising at all. It's crazy that colleges have GMs, but I think he'll help a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if you started seeing more programs doing this to help with recruiting. Because like, let's say Michigan wants a quarterback and Tom Brady's their GM. What are you gonna do? Say no to Tom Brady? Like, you're gonna be like, yeah, Mr. Brady, absolutely. Like, let's say, you know, like again, Maxx Crosby, best defensive lineman in the NFL, potentially. He wants to recruit a defensive lineman at Eastern Michigan. Like, what are you gonna do? Tell Maxx Crosby no, go pound sand? Like, no, you're gonna probably listen to what he has to say. So it's an interesting move. I think that will affect a lot with NIL, and I would not be surprised if more teams start doing this. Okay. So now, guys, we're gonna get into some questions. We answer questions at the end of every single one of our shows. So if you guys got questions, post them in the comment section below, you guys. We read and respond to every single comment. So, guys, we'd love to have you interact with us and feature you on an episode of this show. So, guys, post your comments or post your questions in the comment section below. Let's get to question number one from Jimmy John 2521. My brother wants to know how short quarterbacks can make varsity because he's 5'5", 154. Commented on a past video, but he said you didn't talk about it. Sorry I didn't talk about it, man. I definitely responded to your comment because I always do that. But so don't check me on that one. Now, but what I will say, short quarterback on varsity, gotta have good mobility. So I'm not saying you gotta be Lamar Jackson, but you gotta be able to extend the play. So like if you can't really see, you gotta buy some time with some pocket movement. So stepping left, stepping up, throwing on the run. 2, having a quick release to beat the defensive line so you're able to see. And then I would say knowing how to read defenses. If you can do those 3 things, I think that gives you a leg up as an undersized guy. I think older guys, like bigger guys I should say, can get away with, you know, maybe not being as mobile because they could see. They could get away with, you know, not having as quick of a release because they could see. And maybe they just have natural arm strength, so they don't maybe have to worry about reading a defense. But as shorter guys, we have to be able to do those things. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, dude. Hope that helps. Next question. I'm a QB and I'm 13. I would like some recommendations for good footballs because I've been using junior sizes and I'm moving into middle school ball. And I'd like to be using proper footballs to get ready for varsity ball. So biggest thing I could tell you, dude, I recommend everybody, they're expensive. It sucks that they're expensive, but you got to get a real leather football. So don't get a composite leather football. Like this football right here. This is a Wilson GST, right? This is real leather. I know it may not look like it through the camera, but this is real leather. This is not composite leather. This ball hasn't been broken in yet, but it actually feels pretty good. But anyways, that's real leather football. I recommend getting a real leather football just because that's what you're going to have to use in high school, right? Now, a lot of guys get the composite leather ball. I get it, it's cheaper, and if you can't afford a real leather ball, it's the best one to use. Wilson GST is what I recommend. So if you don't want to spend $120 on a ball, because that's what that one costs, it was actually a gift. Somebody gave it to me and I appreciated the gift. But it's 120 bucks. So if you want to get a cheaper one, Wilson GST is the best way to go. But that's what I would say, man. All right, next question, guys. From Trell215PV07. I just knew you was going to have North Carolina in the top 10. What's your thoughts on that area? So that was a video we made last week. It was one of our episodes, and we talked about the top 10 football states. And North Carolina actually wasn't on there, but I did mention North Carolina in the video. I think it's underrated. I think North Carolina and South Carolina are very underrated. I think there's a lot of talent out that way. I personally love North Carolina. Like, I would move there, to be 100% honest with you. I probably will end up there. I live in Southern California, but I probably won't stay in Southern California. I'll probably move. What we're thinking is either Alabama, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, or potentially Florida. So it's one of those states I'll probably end up in here probably within the next year or so. But right now we're in California, but I love North Carolina. Tons of talent out there, very underrated, and just great people in North Carolina. But anyways, so guys, I appreciate everybody tuning in. That will conclude our episode of this First Down Training Show, but I hope this is able to give you some value. Hope this is able to educate you on certain things, and I'll see you guys next time.